Hello. Uh-oh, I'm getting a little echo. Hello, everyone. We're happy you guys join us back this Tuesday evening on our weekly broadcast of Pause for the Truth. We have an exciting panel tonight with all three of the people that I happen to know and respect very well. That they are all doing such a great job in the community. I will start by introducing Miss Betty Burney. Miss Betty Burney is with Amastar Foundation. She has been a miracle worker for a lot of kids uh, in terms of moving them forward in the working world and in the and I'll let her tell you more about Amastar as we go on. But she has been a miracle worker and working very hard. And also, I'm very proud to call her friend. I also am pleased to introduce Ms. Dee Wilcox with the Annie B. Ruth Foundation. And I can pretty much echo the same thing with her because she is a great friend as well. She has been doing tremendous amount of work in the community with kids. And as with Ms. Burney, I will let her describe and talk describe the program even to a much greater degree than what I can. And then finally, I have another friend, Mr. Eric Wesley. He has been with the Athletic League. He's out working hard to save, especially us young men. We, I guess I'm a sound like a. I'm not going to say a chauvinist, but the women are so much smarter than we are, and girls are so much smarter than men that he has a tougher job probably than these other two. Because when you work with a bunch of boys, and my son, I used to call him a knucklehead, but when we work with boys, and I'm sure my dad said the same thing about me, we work with boys, it really is a hard job. And I know you guys, both you ladies, also work with men, but and boys and girls, and it never stops. So, Miss Burney, what you tell us about Amastar Foundation? What can you tell us?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you, Dr. Kane, for inviting me. The Amastar Foundation is a foundation that has one major focus, and that is we want to empower every young child with whom we come into contact to believe that they are stars, smart, talented, and resilient students who are destined to change the world. We also teach them that the essence of leadership is service to mankind. So, through the Amastar Foundation, we have young people grades 6 through 12 in our leadership program, and their jobs are to tackle any negative situations that are coming against young people. They find solutions to turn those negatives into positives. And they have been at the forefront, Dr. Kane, as you know, with regards to this Omicron, with regards to the COVID vaccine, getting information, disseminating information. And so what we're doing is just trying to make them understand and know that they are America's next generation of leaders.
And you hit that nail right on the head. They are the next generation of leaders. And I'm glad the previous generation of leaders are out there guiding them through this tumultuous times that we're dealing with. And Ms. Dee Wilcox, and thank you, Ms. Burney. Ms. Dee Wilcox, tell us a little bit
Good
about
evening.
Annie B. Ruth Foundation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kane. It's an honor to be amongst such fine panelists in the community. So, the Annie Ruth Foundation, we are a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to serve as a catalyst of positive change in underserved communities. Simply put, we provide services and resources in those areas of town that do not receive the same level of funding or resources in general in comparison to some of the more affluent communities. Now, one of the main things that we do is we offer a summer internship program to high school juniors and seniors. This is a 1-year points-based program that engages the students for an entire year, only once a month though. But what we do is we develop the students from a personal, academic, and workforce development perspective.
Oh man, I tell you, both of you guys it's just such great work that you guys are doing in the community, and really making. I've worked with both sets of you kids, and they are really smart. Through you guys' leadership, they have become even smarter. Mr. Eric Wesley, my other friend, excuse me for talking about men so bad. You happen not to fit that mold, but go on ahead. Tell us a little
Okay.
bit more about your athletic league.
Well, I'm president of Forest Youth Athletic Association, where we service over 200 young men, and in some cases women as well. Well, what we do there, we use sports as a catalyst to actually get them to understand the importance of education, the importance of being able to be a positive role model as well as in the classroom. And we use athletics as our prime reason for doing that. But with that being said, we're trying to move from just an athletic association to an athletic slash academic association as well, where we are stressing education to our young men and young ladies because we know the importance of that. So with that being said, you know, of course, every year we have young men that's going off to college and all that. We this year alone we've had several young men. As a matter of fact, just the other day, 2 young men that signed letter of intent to go to Naval Academy. They have full ride scholarships to go there to actually play on their football team. So that's what we're trying to do, is just trying to use the sports as a way to get to the young men and the young ladies to get them to see the importance of education and being just a great person.
Well, all you guys are using different routes, different roads, but they all are headed in the same direction, and that is to improve the access for our youth into the community, and for them to be able to serve the community and get their put their best foot forward, show the level of intelligence that many of them have. You guys give them that avenue, and I'm so proud of all three to call all three of you guys my friends. Ms. Turner will, for the rest of the audience, she will be joining us shortly. So that, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Tell me, and either one of you guys can start. Usually, ladies first, Mr. Wesley. But why is it important for you to keep youth engaged in activities? Betty or Dee?
I think it's vital that we keep youth engaged in activities because that engagement allows them to learn more. It allows them to be exposed more. Exposure is so key and critical to them developing. In addition to that, it just keeps them away from the negative aspects of what's going on when we engage them in positive activities. So, for instance, we meet on Saturdays. So, a lot of times people will say, oh my gosh, the kids are there on a Saturday. Yep, they're engaged, they are there, and it's keeping their minds going. They know that they have a mission in life, and they know that they have something to do. But more than that, the streets are out there to snatch them. And I know, Officer Wesley knows that, everyone knows that. The streets can snatch them. We don't want the streets snatching them, so it's up to us to find things to do for them that keeps them engaged, keeps them active, and keeps their mind flowing in a positive direction.
And Ms. Wilcox.
Absolutely. I agree with everything that Ms. Burney just said. And just to summarize it, it basically provides a platform for the students to learn and grow and develop, especially from a self-esteem perspective. And all of that is so critical to the students' overall development. Absolutely.
Okay. Officer Wesley.
Again, as the young lady said, I agree with them wholeheartedly. But I'll just give one little quote. An idle mind is a devil workshop. It's important that we keep our young men and young ladies actually positive things for them to do, as well as putting positive people around them so that they can actually grow and become the people that they are destined to be.
Okay. So, Mr. Wesley, Officer Wesley, help me understand, what positive experience have you created to keep youth engaged?
Well, one thing I really try to do is the first is try to let them know, put them around positive people. It's very important that we have mentors and have people that children can trust. What I found to be so true, and let me just say this: a lot of things that I'm going to talk about is based on the young men that I dealt with so many years when I worked for the sheriff's office. I compiled letters from them while they was incarcerated. What could society have done? What could people have done? What could you have done differently so that you wouldn't be incarcerated? So that's where I'm coming from for the most part. So I'm just telling you what I have been told by them, by the individual. So with that being said, I think it's so important that we have people that they say that mentors, people that they trust, people that they can talk to. Because if I may use an example, Lil Pooh can tell them anything. It's okay to go and steal. It's okay to do this. It's okay to do that. But it's important that they have someone that they can trust that can give them another way of doing things other than listening to Lil Pookie. Instead of going to rob somebody or doing that, why don't you try to get you a part-time job? Why don't you look at what's going to happen if you do that? And around people that not just give you the answers, but allow you to see what the answers are for yourself. That's the most important thing. So that's kind of what we kind of try to do more than anything else.
Well, Ms. Wilcox, what about you? I know as well that he mentioned getting them jobs, and I know that's one of the things that I've seen you step into the fray quite naturally. It seems to be natural for you. But what positive experience have you created to keep youth engaged?
Absolutely. So the Annie Ruth Foundation Summer Internship Program, it's a two-prong system. So the first part of the program, we engage the students in what we call business seminars. These two, as Ms. Bernie's program, they take place on a Saturday. So the students are definitely engaged and thinking even on a Saturday morning. We bring in community leaders and subject matter experts and former award recipients to interact with the students and allow them to get different perspectives and different points of views. The engagements are very interactive. So they use the raise hand feature and the chat feature. They all have LinkedIn accounts, and everyone who comes into our virtual space are on LinkedIn. So they are able to network even at this young age with professionals and subject matter experts. Okay, so we do that for the entire year. And then when the program ends, the second part of the program is where we place them in that safe professional environment that directly aligns with their career aspiration. So it doesn't matter what it is they think they want to do. If they do well in the program, we give them hands-on experience, a mentor, and a paycheck.
Wow. Yeah, well, I have participated in that on various occasions. Ms. Bernie?
What we do is we have the students themselves to develop solutions to problems. So they look at what is happening around them, what's happening in their schools, in their communities, what's happening right now in America. And the students get an opportunity to work on the projects themselves. And when you give students an opportunity and let them know that it's theirs and they can put their ownership on it, they can add to it, subtract from it, whatever they want to do, it makes a real difference for them. So I'll give you an example that Dr. Kane, I know that you probably may remember. Our students were working on childhood obesity. Actually, they started because Ms. Turner, when she was with the health department, and Dr. Lorraine Husband shared with them that their generation might not outlive their parents based on unhealthy lifestyles, etc. So they were working on childhood obesity. They had an opportunity to take a look at what the Surgeon General had written with regards to childhood obesity. And they said, nobody's going to read this because this was written by adults for children. So then my thing to them was, well, develop your own. And they did. And they went to meet the Surgeon General. And then they brought the Surgeon General here to Jacksonville some years ago, back in 2015. So when they get an opportunity to work on things themselves, put their twist on it, it makes a difference.
Okay. Mr. Wesley, is there anything else you want to you can mention that you like to state along that question?
Well, let me just say this. Can I just go off key just for 1 minute?
Yes.
30 seconds. Firstly, I just want to say it's such a pleasure to be here with these bright young ladies that we're here with now. And Ms. Bernie, personally, I have never had an opportunity to just tell her I have a son that went to her daycare, and because of how because of how she treated him, and now he worked with JSO. He's a sergeant with JSO now, and also he's a real estate agent. And I would have to say that foundation of discipline, the foundation of education was instilled with him way back then. Not only that, Ms. Bernie has spoken several times at the graduation that we've held at the jail for the juveniles several times, and been very impactful with what she's actually stated. So I just had to give those flowers why I was able to do that, by the way, to Ms. Bernie. So kudos to you. You're a great lady, and thank you so much for doing everything that you do in our community.
Thank you so much. But Dr. Kane, may I in return reciprocate?
Yes.
For years, I went to the jail to mentor those young people who were ages 6 through 12. I'm sorry, 12 through 18 who were incarcerated. And if it was not for Officer Wesley and a few of those other men, there is no telling where those young men would be. That I know for a fact. So kudos to you for all that you did to help those young men.
Well, since y'all having this kumbaya moment,
I want my flowers, Dr. Kane.
I'm sorry.
uh,
I want my flowers now.
yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got.
I'm gonna say that to all of you guys. I mean, I am so I'm so proud of what you do, and I'm happy to have had just a little bit here and there to assist in whatever I can do to make things better, and still want to be available to help out what little bit I have. But I mean, I'm just looking at you guys. I feel, I'm not gonna say useless, but wow, I have a big mountain to climb to live up to the aspirations of what you guys are doing. So, and that goes for all three of you guys. Ms. Turner, we're looking at when we were waiting on you. We really talked bad about you. Just yeah, we're waiting on you to come on and help join the conversation. I'm going to ask how do you guys get what are some of the benefits of keeping the youth engaged in community activities? Anybody?
Well,
No, or
I'll say it real quick, real short. It helps with what's going on in our society now. Honestly, the crime that's in our communities now, and what's going on. Young men getting into gangs, and young men are around individuals that's having them doing the wrong thing. So with that, I think it benefits our community so much if we actually get them to be engaged in positive things and doing the right things in the community. That is so important. A lot of times it's important, like I say again, I'm gonna go back again, that mentorship is so important. That mentorship is so important to make sure that we have positive young men and young ladies around our youth, and actually giving them the right things, to give them some choices on the right things they should do and what they shouldn't do. I think that's so important for us.
okay.
I'd also like to add, I think that people need to understand, people who don't mentor, just as a follow-up, people have to know there are very good organizations like all of yours out there that they can contribute to. And if folks are not accustomed to mentoring, I'm sure that you don't have a problem with coaching them along so that they can add to the experiences of the young people that you work with on a regular basis. Am I right?
Yes, for sure.
So I want to follow up with a question, unless Dee or Ms. Bernie, do either of you want to piggyback on the benefits of engaging youth in community activities?
I think it was well said.
Yeah, I also want to say, though, one of the other benefits is watching them at the end of the long game to see what they become. Dee, I know that one of my I'm a Star students was in your group, Jasmine Butler, and now she's thriving. She's doing the television for FSU, and all of those kinds of things, and just seeing them get to a piece where they are able to take off. That's a
And it's funny how each one of you guys, while both of you guys, all you guys are working with the community, it's just so you just illustrated, Ms. Bernie, how you guys complement your programs, complement each other. Something that we don't see as much of in our community, but just something that needs to take place more. But I am, again, you guys are complementary of each other, not in terms of the kumbaya moment, but more in terms of what successes you're having with the kids.
That's a good point, Dr. Kane, because far too often leaders of organizations feel as though they have to compete with other
Right.
organizations.
Right.
And I am just totally of a different belief because there's so many children that need to be served. Annie Ruth can't possibly serve them all. So to the point that was just made, we need to complement each other and learn to not compete and not view it as competing, because that's just not the case. It's just so many kids that need the services that we provide, for sure.
Well
said.
said. Lot
Well
better
said.
than lot better than yours truly.
So speaking of competing, want to switch it a little bit and talk about how can parents support what activities their youth are involved in, and also as adults outside of the home mentor their young people. How do you get the parents to not feel that you're trying to take over their role?
For me, it's developing that relationship early on when the students become a part of Amistar or whatever else that we're doing. It's important to develop that relationship with the parents, to speak with the parents, to let them know what's going on with their children. And when they know that you care about their children as, just as much as they do, and that you're going to love them and give them everything, they will support. Now, because I mean, even my years on the school board, I've never seen a parent who truly didn't want to support their children. Some of them just don't know how to. But I think when you engage them and make them feel a part of it, they will support.
I agree with that. In our organization, we communicate not only with the students, but also with the parents. Our program also includes required parent meetings, which means they have to come to the table. They have to be involved. We're not that organization where the students just come or take part and the parents know absolutely nothing about what's going on. We definitely include them and get them to understand who their child is communicating with, what information their child is and responding to and receiving and things of that nature. So getting the parents engaged and involved is definitely a benefit and helpful, with them being encouraging in terms of allowing their students to continue to be a part of the organization or the program even.
In one word, trust. When parents trust you, they allow you access to their children, to their families, and so on and so forth. So it's so important that we are transparent enough so that the parents can understand what we're trying to do and trust us to do what we're trying to do.
Speaking of trust, I have to piggyback on you, Eric. Hearing what your background is, how was it for you in law enforcement, making that transition and building that trust from switching from being, even while you were in law enforcement, to then being Eric Citizen, still wanting to, have that relationship with the community, with folks in the community? Was
Well,
it
for
hard
me,
building that trust?
no, for me, it never was because of the way I was raised. I was raised in the understanding of you're here to serve people, you're here to help people. And it's important that once you understand that, when you know what your calling is, that is to help people in our community, help people in our society. So the transition was really easy because the way I treated, I've always learned, treat people the way you want to be treated. So when I was working with the sheriff's office, everybody I encountered, I never encountered them as an inmate. I've always encountered them as a human being. So I've never had an issue with, and I often used to tell them, I said, I don't have a heaven or hell to put you in. And Lord knows I have no grounds to judge you. So what you did, that between you and God, it has nothing to do with me. But what I'm here to do is treat you like a human being. So with that, building that trust up with them in cases like that, then I've never had an issue. So the transition for me was relatively very easy for me to just transition.
Spoken like a PK.
Okay.
I had to slide that in. I mean, really, spoken like a true PK. Dr. Kane, did you have a follow-up question?
No, go ahead. I'm just enjoying these guys.
So, Miss Bernie, I know I've worked with you, and Dee, you and I worked in some other capacities, but I know I've worked with you, and so I know what you're going to say, but I want the audience to hear you say it. Are youth allowed to take on leadership roles in the activities they're involved in with the Amistar Foundation?
Most definitely. As you know, they are leading. I'm not going to do that work. They got to do it. When you came in and told them about the fact that that they might not outlive their parents, and that thing stuck with them. I remember going to somewhere. I think we went to Cincinnati or something for a retreat. They were supposed to be youth centric, and the kids came back and said, "Well, they're not doing anything for the youth." And I said, "Well, I'm not a youth. You better go ahead and try to do it." And they did it. Because if we don't give them ownership, then they will think that we're supposed to do it for them. So it's all theirs.
So what about you, Dee?
Mute. You muted. You
You
muted.
muted.
Thank you for catching that, Dr. Kane. Otherwise, I would have kept going. Yeah, with our platform, we definitely provide opportunities for the students to step up in terms of, or the form of, leading the devotional service, identifying who they want to come into the space and things of that nature. So yeah, there are definitely leadership opportunities involved and incorporated throughout the program.
Great. And there's a question that says, I hear that parents are the biggest problem with this new generation. I have heard that parents today are soft. What do you all think of that?
Well, I'll start off. I don't know if I'll use the word soft, but I would use parents sometimes trust a 5-year-old kid over a 40-year-old man or woman that's trying to give them some important things about their child. So a lot of times, even when I was working with the sheriff's office, and even where I work at now, that's one thing I deal with all the time. When a parent will come in and say, "My baby said that this happened," and you can respond, "Well, ma'am, that didn't happen." Well, if my child said it, I don't care what you say, and the child is standing right there while they're saying what they're saying, and it becomes I call it a communication barrier, where the child said, "Okay, I know who on my team, so I can say what I want to say when I want to say it." So with that being said, it is a lot harder now to get through to parents when it comes to showing the child how to do a particular something, teaching a child a particular something, because if the child don't like it, or if the child say something negative about it, a lot of times the parents will jump on it and piggyback as if it's facts.
Well, I will chime in on this one, because when we were coming along, not only did the neighbor have a right to discipline us when they saw us being undisciplined, um, but then they'll tell the parents, and then the parents look like they just joined in on it, and it was like a free fall, and just whip the crap out of you. Now, I'm not advocating violence or anything in terms of childhood punishment, but it worked for me. And my parents didn't just jump up and defend me just because I said it. It took a lot. It would have taken a lot for them not to believe what that neighbor or that elder person in the neighborhood would. It would take a lot for my parents not to believe them. And sometimes there was every now and then that those people were mistaken on my behalf, but didn't make any difference. My mom, my dad believed those people, and to this day, I'm not sorry they didn't.
And what I see is when we encounter something, if we think that that there's some education that can be provided to the parents, I think it's incumbent upon us to educate them, because an informed parent is an empowered parent. And sometimes parents feel either they have to be their child's friend, or they see all of the stuff and they think that if I don't give my child all of these extravagant things, then my child is not going to thrive, and my child is not going to like me. And then it becomes incumbent upon us to educate them to the fact that that's a fallacy, that you don't have to be your child's friend, you don't have to buy your child all of those things. What you have to do is give your child information on how to survive and how to be a good citizen.
Right.
Yeah, I know some parents, I've heard some parents say that they think their children need some discipline, and they encourage them to go the military route. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that they could gain some discipline from being in your particular organizations, for instance?
Absolutely. I'll go first. So with our program, we're very structured. We start at 9 o'clock promptly. Doesn't matter if two students are connected, because of course with COVID, we have a virtual platform at this time. So we teach them time management. We teach them that if you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. If you arrive at a business interview and it starts at 9, you get there at 9:01. In some cases, you've already lost the job because they're not going to interview you. So absolutely, leadership skills, discipline, et cetera, it can be learned and received from programs in addition to the military, not bashing the military at all, because they are very structured and provide that level of discipline as well. But organizations and programs such as the ones we have can definitely provide that same level of discipline and leadership. Absolutely.
And Dee, I'm glad you put it like that, though, when you mentioned the time management and the fact that, and really made that connection, because parents automatically, I've heard several parents say that I'm going to send my child off to the military because they need some discipline. And it's good to know that there are some programs right at home that our youth can be involved in so that they will get some discipline. Miss Bernie or Eric, did either of you have anything to add?
Well, we run similar to the same way that Dee runs. It's going to be on time. Whenever there's I tell them, I ask them, how many times does Miss Bernie repeat herself? 0. So that means if Miss Bernie is speaking, we're going to listen. If somebody else speaking, we're going to listen. So all of the facets of how does it take for you to leave here and go into a business, or leave here and go into college, leave here and go anywhere. That discipline is essential, and you don't have to beat it into them. You don't have to yell it into them. You just show them. It's you're showing them the way.
Speaking of showing them the way, can youth help shape policies and programs meant to improve their community?
Yes.
Yes, for
Do you have
sure.
any examples of that, either of you, that you've worked on with some youth to help shape policies and programs meant to improve the communities? Now, I have an example of a program I did with Miss Bernie, but I'm gonna let you all talk because it's not about me tonight.
Well, one of the things, a lot with the food deserts, um, Jocelyn, that you helped our students start long before people were talking about food deserts. You came out and you work with the kids. The childhood obesity pieces, even with the United States Surgeon General at that time, providing information. They can do it. We just have to give them the tools and let them just, the song says, teach them well and let them lead the way. But once we give them the tools, they can shape that policy.
I don't
So
know, but I feel like I need to sing that song. Teach them well. Okay, go ahead, Dee. I'm sorry.
no worries. So I'll share how youth help to shape the summer internship program. So we've been in existence for 9 years, and the program has been offered for 9 consecutive years. But earlier on, it was a one-day program. So we give student or participant evaluation forms at the end of every program, right? So for the first 2 years, or the first year, I'll say, we gave that student evaluation form, and the feedback was awesome. It was like, this is great stuff. We learned a lot. We really enjoyed it, but it was too long. So I'm thinking, too long, but you guys need all of this. And these were just my thoughts, right? So the second year we ran the program, a one-day program, very similar feedback, great information. We really enjoyed it. The program is too long. So I asked one of the students who gave me that verbally, as well as in writing. I said, okay, so what can we omit? What do we need to cut out? She was like, well, nothing. I mean, nothing they wanted to see omitted, but they felt as though the program was too long. So I said, okay, if we've received that feedback for 2 consecutive years, we need to do something different. So we cut the program in half. Now it's only a half day, but guess what? It's multiple half days. It's an entire year now, once a month. So they didn't see that coming. But again, we had to learn from them, because to us, it was effective. It was good stuff. And indeed it was, but it was in fact too long for them to sit there and just absorb and receive information for an entire day. So now we have 3.5-hour sessions, but 12 of them once a month. So that's how youth allowed our program to evolve.
Well, I can say something personally. How it shaped one of the policies and procedures that I was doing. I was teaching an anger management class recently, and the class was for 1 hour. And at the end of each class, I would often ask them, "Do you have any questions or any concerns?" And each time we had the class, the young men and young ladies would say, "Officer Wesley, the class is for an hour. That's really too long." I said, "Okay." So we kept on doing next class. "Officer Wesley, the class is too long." After a while, the young man stood up. He said, "Officer Wesley, I am 12. My attention span is only about 10 minutes. Yeah, after 10 minutes, everybody here is going to sleep on you. You teaching yourself. So would you please change? Can we at least change the time from an hour to 30 minutes at least?" I said, "Okay, we're going to go from hours to 30 minutes." So it personally changed the way I was teaching this class. And I just, guess what? Ever since I changed it to 30 minutes, we have a 15-minute introduction, and the class really lasts about 15 minutes. But ever since then, these young men that's in the class, all 10 of them, have not gotten in trouble or anything since then. So evidently it's working a little bit.
And the important thing out of that is making sure that we listen to young people. I know when I was a big sister with Big Brother and Big Sister years ago, I used to say that I got into it thinking that I had so much to teach that child, but I learned so much from her in return. And I think that's the thing that we have to, although I look at them as little people, that we have the opportunity to help nurture and learn or whatever and share some of our experiences. But I think it is important to listen to them because they also have experiences and not just talk at them and think they're just little people and don't have feelings or thoughts. Wouldn't you all agree?
Yes.
For
Right.
sure. For sure. Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Kane, you letting me run my mouth is because I was a little tardy at the beginning of the show. Do you want me to continue or do you have any questions?
No, I have no questions. I want you to continue. I ran my mouth enough before you got there.
So, does meaningful youth participation enhance a young person's sense of connectedness?
Yes, I would say for sure. I'll give examples, especially with if I would say in the sports arena, a lot of the young men that comes there, when they start, they are a little hesitant. They're a little I don't really want to step out on anything, but uh, when they're there and they get involved and they see that they have leadership abilities, at that point they grow so much and it really enhances them for moving on to other areas of their life, or learning what the word teamwork really means. Together, everyone accomplish more. Knowing what a team really stands for, and using the team in some cases to some things that they don't do well, a team member does it well. So they also learn not to judge other people just because they got a different skill set. You may be able to do this better than me, but I can do this. But when we put our skills together, it makes us become a very powerful. So with that being said, in life in general, it really enhances them in life in other ways.
So, I'm
We
going
had
to
a
piggyback.
student,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
we had a student, this was some years ago. His school was basically ready to just kick him out. Um, he was at Eugene Butler at that time. And so when he got into the I'm a Star program, they were in groups and you had to give a 1 minute elevator speech in order to for your team to vote for you to be the president of the team. Well, he won. And when he won, it changed his life. Um, I saw him maybe about 2 weeks ago. He is doing phenomenal, but I saw the change just at that time because I think he thought I'll never win, but he stepped out. He gave a speech. He beat a young boy who was over at Kirby Smith making all A's and B's, and so that meant more to him than anything. And I think he saw a purpose. So if we could give them meaningful things like that, it changes their lives.
The key word was you said he saw a purpose,
Mhm.
and I'd really like to hear that.
Are
Ms.
there any?
Dean, I know you got some sample examples of similar
Well,
circumstances.
thank you so much. So, with our program, our students already come in with the preconceived notion of what they think they want to be. after they graduate college. So by us bringing in community leaders and subject matter experts, they're able to see, and you know the saying that says, if you see it, you can be it, right? So it's meaningful to them in terms of they're developing their minds and their sense and their purpose in terms of post high school education, right? And also post college education. So again, they're connected, and it's definitely meaningful and engaging and keep them connected to every month. Our dropout rate, our attrition rate in the program is very low. And again, it's because they have a sense of connectivity by the leaders that we bring in and the subject matter experts that we bring in.
Do any of you, once those young people graduate from high school, do any of you have opportunities for them or any other young person who's transitioning between high school and say college or whatever the next becoming an adult? Do you have opportunities for them to be engaged in any of your programs in any capacity?
Yes. Oh,
Go ahead.
Dee, I'm sorry. No, you go ahead, Dee. I'm sorry.
Thank you. So we do for sure. Our summer internship program, the acronym is SIP. So we also have what we call SIP and Chat. SIP and Chat is for those who've already graduated the program and have gone on to college. So these are quarterly forums and they're informal. We bring them back so that we can listen to their successes and listen to their challenges and also serve as a resource for them. And we know they have their parents and they have their guidance counselors, but sometimes they need even another party to help them navigate through this thing called life. So yeah, that's how we formally stay connected to our students even after graduating from the program.
And we do similar. In addition to that, I'm a Star has a contract with the school district for our Bridge to Success program, and a lot of the young people who were in I'm a Star but are now in college serve as mentors for some of the schools that we have.
And we have young men that leave the program and actually come back as coaches as well as mentors as well to actually give back to the young men.
That's awesome. And what made me think of it is, a lot of last week we talked about gangs and gang prevention, and I hear a lot of discussion that sometimes young males, young adult males, don't have much to do in the community. So I'm thinking of if any of those young men or the parents of those young men who might be listening now think that, well, my child was not a part of any of your programs. Do you have any opportunities that I can encourage them to come and be a part of your program as volunteers, knowing they're too old for your normal program activities, but use them in some capacity to keep them connected as we talk about, rather than connecting to a gang, for instance?
Most definitely. Please refer them.
And again, I just say that because I think of the heartbreaking stories and that we heard last week when we were talking about gangs and gang prevention and hoping, and that's one reason, as I'm sure Dr. Kane, as he opened tonight's show, the reason that we thought that this was a good follow-up is because it was quite sad for me listening to the whole issue of gangs here in Jacksonville. And so Dr. Kane said, or I don't know if it was Tyrone that said, we should have some folks to come on to highlight the positive things that are happening in the community rather than the not so positive things in terms of our young people getting connected to gangs. So that's what made me ask the question about, so when they graduate from high school, if they never were a part of your program, but they want to do the right thing, is there a space for them?
Yeah, they want to give back is what they want to do. Officer Wesley, you were about to say something in that regards?
Well, yeah, I was about to say in reference, like I said, a lot of the young men that leave the program out of high school, go to college, and they come back and they become coaches and mentors. But not only that, we have a forum where kids that you can come back and do community service hours at our actually park, where you can actually help the runnings of the park and so on and so forth. And like I said before, we're actually moving forward to not just being athletic, but about academics, whereas hopefully next year we will have actually teachers coming out and actually doing tutors, where we will actually be teaching classes, anger management, anger management, how to deal with difficult people, so on and so forth. So again, just taking the ball just a little bit away from just athletics, where we actually trying to give to the young men and young ladies there. And we would never, I could say this for us, we would never turn anybody down for us. Anybody want to come and help, anybody need some advice, anybody need anything at all. I think it's important that we keep our arms open to everybody in the community, and anybody we can help, we'll be more than happy to do that.
You
And
know, in times of
since you use the word keeping your arms wrapped around it, I'm sorry, Dr. Kane. I
no,
was
go ahead.
on a meeting today and we were talking about Black youth suicide. Unfortunately, there's a rise in Black youth suicide. So when you're talking about wrapping your arms around our young people, these type of programs to me could potentially help save a young person's life. Have any of you ever experienced any young people who were having any mental health issues and had to connect them with resources in the community? Or not really?
Well, from other facets of I'm a Star, not our leadership program, but yes.
Mhm,
But I'd like to say something along the mental health piece.
mhm.
Um, as a result of the pandemic, we know that so many kids have been experiencing mental health. And so the solution that our young people have come up with, they have something that we're calling the Empower Me series, where they're
Mhm.
developing an Empower Me podcast and YouTube. They're developing Empower Me toolboxes to give to young people in the school system who have to go to a therapist. They're going to take those toolboxes over to the school board at the school board meeting on January 10th, and they're developing an Empower Me app that will help young
Wow.
people with mental health who are experiencing mental health issues. So they've taken it because many of the kids in our leadership program have said nobody knows the isolation they felt when they were out of school, for the past during that year.
Yeah, I've said that this whole pandemic, if you don't learn something having gone through a pandemic, then unfortunately we're still in it. So we're not out of it. And you hope that the world becomes a better place for all of us and realizing those gaps. Eric, were you about to say something?
Well, I was just thinking that you'd make me think about another question you asked in reference to. I was just going to talk about Ms. Bernie may know this young man, some young men that was incarcerated that grew from incarcerated to where now they're out, they're reintegrated back into society, they have jobs, they have children, they have families. Young man called me on yesterday. His name was Jalen, and Miss Bernie, she probably would know. He used to talk to the tours when he was incarcerated. He was supposed to go to prison for 25 years, but he ended up going to prison for 3 years and ended up coming out and being mentored. And he asked me the other day, he said, is there anything that I can do now? That I got my life together and I'm doing good. I got a good job. I have a family. I have children. I need to reach out to children that was like me. I want to do something positive. And it was kind of ironic. And then I got to talk with Dr. Kane the other day, and I talked with him again today. I was really tempted to bring him and let him sit next to me because if you hear his story, it's awesome. But he was actually in a road of destruction, but because of the people that he met and incarceration, and now he's out. He's a productive member of society. So again, that's another term on when we don't turn our back on anybody, regardless to who you are or where you come from. It's important that we keep reaching our hand out and putting our arms around you and let you know that we love you and we're here for you.
Absolutely. So, Jocelyn, to answer your question, we have not or do not have students to come to us to talk directly about mental health. However, knowing that it's real, to your point, one of the topics that we incorporated into the program deals with mental health specifically. We call that body, mind, and spirit. So, in that particular segment, we bring in someone from a fitness studio to talk to the students about the importance of exercising and eating healthy in an effort to minimize the likelihood of being diagnosed with those preventable illnesses and diseases, right? So then we transition into mind, and the mind is all about mental health awareness. We bring in a mental health professional to talk to the students about it's okay to raise your hand if you're not feeling well, and and informing them about signs and symptoms of mental health and things of that nature. And then we transition to the spirit. And that's when we bring in a local youth pastor to talk about the importance of having a connection with the higher being. And we say higher being, politically correctness, right? But when we speak from a personal perspective, we talk about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Absolutely. So we definitely address mental health awareness within the summer internship program.
And that's awesome. And just to let all of you know, as I'm sure you probably do, youth mental health first aid is an option for you to bring to your young people where they can be trained so they can recognize it, any of their peers who may be experiencing some mental health issues. How young should youth get involved in youth activities, sports or otherwise?
Good question.
For me, I would say as soon as possible. As soon as possible.
As soon as they start walking.
Well, you would have, that's a good, I don't know about that soon, but as soon as possible. When we say, hey, we might be able to start a little toddlers track team. Maybe they can crawl and see who can crawl the fastest. Maybe that's possible. I don't know. But it enhances them so much. I mean, I have, like I say, my son and so many people I know, they always say, where would I be at if it wasn't for sports? It taught me how to be mentally tough. It taught me how to not just work hard on a football field, basketball field, or baseball field. It taught me if I can beat you in football, basketball, or baseball, I cannot beat you in the classroom. It gave me an attitude about when I'm practicing 10 hours a day, but I got a test tomorrow, so I can't go to sleep now because I got to make the higher score in here. So the competitiveness that it brings to a lot of young men and young ladies in college as well, to let them know that not only my self-esteem is so high because I'm a good athlete, and that transition to other areas of my life. So I think the sooner the better for me. So to answer your question, if we can start a toddlers track team, we'll see who crawl the best. Let's try that and see that work too.
You know, Eric, I have to say this because last week we had the game, Jacksonville gangs in Jacksonville, and there was a conversation that referenced sports. You know, the role that some of the people who do not have the best intent for these kids with regards to sports. You know, these, for lack of better description, the drug dealers that want to sponsor their own sport team and doesn't teach the camaraderie and don't teach the need to help within the community. It was sad to hear that, but it exists. Have you seen any of that, and how do you help combat that behavior?
I will answer your question. I see it often. I see it every day. But there's if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Right is now wrong, and wrong is now right in a lot of times in society. I've had parents that come to me that says that I want my child to play over there because they do XYZ, and the XYZ is illegal stuff, literally illegal stuff, and they want to go over there because it's more exciting. You know, we have more fun over there, and sometimes you have to say, well, I understand that, but you have to stick with what's right. You cannot allow what somebody else wants to do. So with that being said, you have to stand in the paint and say, okay, I'm going to continue to do what God have me to do. I'm going to continue to stand for right. Regardless to what they do over there, we're going to continue to do right here. And honestly, that's all you can do. You can stand on your morals and say, I'm not going to allow what everybody else do to allow me or what I believe that's going to help our children, our society. And I change just because I want to be a popular person. I want to be a popular association. No, we have to stand for right. So at the end of the day, that's what I have to do.
Yeah, winning is not always on the field.
No, and I will tell you this, most time it's not on the field, just so you know.
Right.
Yes, sir.
To piggyback on that, though, I do have to say it, and this was not a part of anything that we planned on saying tonight, but it's in my spirit, y'all, to say it, so I have to. For those persons who are listening, how can we support your programs? Because it's not free to do what you do. So, and we don't want you to have to feel like you have to get ill-gotten gain from somewhere else that's not what you value or believe in. So tell our listeners how do we support rather your programs?
I'll go first. So, with the Annie Ruth Foundation programs, I'll say plural because we do offer more than one. You can definitely go to our website. Our website is www.sowingseeds.today, and that's SOWINGSEEDS.today. Take a look at the programs that we offer. If you have children who are eligible to participate, have them sign up, have them check us out first of all, because sometimes parents make the child sign up and that's not really what the child wants to do, so they don't bring their A game to the program. And we have that program where you definitely have to bring your A game, right? So get your child to read about the programs and services that we offer, and if they feel as though that is a service or a program for them, definitely sign up. So that's one way you can support. Another way is if you have the means to financially sow into the organization, definitely do that, because Rosalind, to your point, it costs to operate these programs, and we have individuals who assist with programs and marketing and things of that nature, PR and things of that nature, and we need to continue to support financially so that the programs can continue to sustain and be of service and of value to the community.
You mentioned eligibility before Ms. Bernie and Eric speak. You mentioned eligibility. What's the eligibility to participate in your programs?
So, first of all, you have to write a 1,000-word essay, and that's a turnoff for a lot of students. And we're working with the lower level students to get them to understand that writing is a part of life. It doesn't matter what you want to do, you're going to have to write to some capacity. So we're actually instructing and teaching and providing workshops to write essays, so that when they get or become eligible, they won't shy away from writing that 1,000-word essay. The other thing is they must be willing to attend the monthly workshops, because it's a points-based program. Everything we ask or expect the students to do have points associated with it, including attending the monthly workshops. So if you don't attend the workshops, chances are you're not going to be selected as that award recipient, and it's that award recipient that gets the job. The other thing is you have to maintain a 2.0 GPA, and we know that's very relaxed, but we're not that program that cater to the high achievers. We know there are some students who want to be a part of it, and they're not AB students. So again, our GPA is a 2.0. Those are the three things in terms of eligibility requirements. It used to be you had to go to school in Duval or surrounding county, but now that we're virtual, we have students from Atlanta and Orlando even participating in the program. So that's no longer a requirement.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Dee. Ms. Bernie or Eric, which one of you?
I'll go. With regards to Amistar has 3 or 4 different facets. One is the leadership program, and that is students grades 6 through 12. No GPA requirement, no anything. They just have to come in and believe that they're a star, smart, talented, and resilient student. And if they don't believe it, then we just sew it into them. We also we work with the Bridge to Success program for the school district, and that is young people who have been retained 2 or more times in the school district. So we do that for elementary, middle, and high school. We also work with the Gear Up program for Duval County Public Schools, which is for students. We started with a group in 7th grade, and we're following them through 12th grade. I'm sorry, through the first year in college. But there's one thing I want to share. I'm a Star and 100 Black Men have a joint venture that we're working together. We have a building that is now on Moncrief Road that was built by the city of Jacksonville, but we're going to have a STEM program in that for students who live in Sherwood Forest, Harbor View, anywhere around that area. The 100 Black Men will be working on the technology part of STEM. I'm a Star will be working on the science and math and leadership part of STEM. And so we welcome students and families in the Sherwood Forest area, in the Harbor View area, any of those areas to come and be a part of it. We welcome people to come in and mentor. And as Ms. Wilcox said, please go to our website. It's www.imastarfoundation.org.
And they also can get information on how to support your programs as well?
Yes.
Or your foundation? Okay,
yes.
Thank you. Eric,
Oh,
how
yeah.
about you? How can people support your what you're doing?
Well, firstly is the only requirement we have is the 2.0 grade point average. That's important in order to play any sport at our park. You have to have a 2.0 grade point average, and if you go to www.fireviewathleticassociation.com, and we're now, matter of fact, we're now registering for basketball now. Then after basketball, baseball will be starting up in February, and football again starting up in June. And like I said again, hopefully, we're hoping to support us is anything that you can do to help us for is mentoring. That's what we're really looking for. Really, we're looking for a lot of mentors, men as well as women, to come and mentor our children, because it would be great if we can actually start partnering up. When you sign up for football, we can also, or basketball or baseball, we can also give you a mentor to actually serve as that for that particular season or for the whole year. So that we're trying to do now.
And you say it's sports.com?
Athletic, yeah, FireviewAthleticAssociation.com.
Okay.
It almost sounds. Go ahead, D.
Yeah, I just want to say something, if I will. And Eric, you just made me think of this just recently, last week, as a matter of fact. One thing that our program aimed to do, and that is expose our children to different things, right? So when it comes to sports, if you ask primarily our students, you know, what's your favorite sport? They may say basketball or football or maybe even baseball, right? Haven't heard many to say the game of hockey. But what we did this year is we exposed our children. We took them on a team building event to the Jacksonville Iceman hockey game. And it was so exciting, so excellent. So I would love to speak with you. Maybe you can take your athletes to a hockey game and expose them to yet another dimension of athletics.
Okay, great. That sounds good.
You know,
Thank you.
truth be told, listening to what you guys just said, there is some complementation in terms of what, you know, the sports aspect. Maybe some of the, you know, either from Betty, your group, or D, your group, can help complement some of the people in terms of Eric group, or vice versa, as it relates to academics and sports. I mean, there's such a possible interlacing of the needs for each one in terms of either tutoring, whether it's tutoring for the academics or tutoring for the athleticism, that they can maybe help merge at some point to benefit all the three of the programs.
Absolutely. The
Yes.
Annie Root Foundation through Comcast. Comcast recently provided us a whole lot of computers, right? So with those computers, in terms of identifying how we were going to distribute them, we came up with yet another program. We call it the Annie Root Foundation's I Aspire campaign, sponsored by Internet Essentials from Comcast. This is a 1 hour program where we just go into elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools, and talk to the students about aspirations. We deal with that from a personal in the home environment, academics in the school, and also professional, right? And it's just getting them to understand that I need to set some goals. And not only must I set goals, but there are action steps that need to be taken in order to accomplish those goals. So that's what the I Aspire campaign is all about. We would love to bring that, Eric, to you, and also Miss Bernie to you as well. Yeah, just reach out.
Okay, so my mind is already working when you said that, because we have the Bridge to Success program that I mentioned, where we work with young people who are over age for grade. So they may be 12 in the fifth grade. I mean, I'm sorry, in the third grade. And we have our Gear Up program. Would love to have that Inspire group to come in and speak with them. So I'll get in touch with you.
Absolutely. You see
And
what you
Mr.
did,
Weston,
Dr.
you know I'm
King?
there to do what you do. I'm sorry, D.
No, I said, you see what you did, Dr. Kane? You got
There
this
you
Yeah,
going.
that was mine.
So now I have to, and I know we're finishing up the show, but I just want to, you talked about a lot of good things, and it's great. But what challenges have you found or have you experienced in working with young people? Any challenges or barriers to doing the work that you're doing?
I know prior to COVID, when we were face to face, one of our challenges was transportation. Another challenge was that 1,000 word essay that I mentioned. A lot of students, for some reason, just shy away from writing essays. And then, of course, technology. When we were meeting face to face and we had homework assignments or just assignments that's a part of the program, if the student wasn't completing them or turning them in on time, and we reach out to understand why, some of them didn't even have a computer in the home. That's changed a little since COVID because now the schools issue computers, but those were challenges pre-COVID.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else?
Not on the leadership side, but on the other side where we deal with the school district and others, the challenge has been, a lot of it has been with the mental health issues that some of the kids are facing. Some of them just have not gone back to school, or, they were not coming to school, those kinds of things. But yeah.
My only challenge would be
Eric, I'm sorry. Can you you can finish what you were about to say, but I just want to be sure we can get the proper website address. So please make sure, either spell it out. So we want to make sure we put it in our on our
Okay.
website for people to be able to go and take a look at it. So if you don't mind, just make sure that you can put it into the chat box or spell
Okay.
it out now. You can voice it out.
Yeah, because I made a failed attempt to write it and it didn't come out right because I clicked on it.
Well, let me make sure.
I don't know
Let
if
me
it's
make
.com or .org, so maybe
Yeah,
that's what it is.
let me make sure right quick.
Before we end the show. Well, it was a great discussion, and I think that if any of our listeners did not get anything from the show, then they need to click on each of your websites to gain more knowledge about the great work that you are doing in the community. And I certainly applaud you. And I was telling someone today, and I shouldn't admit it publicly, but I was talking to them about some youth involvement or working with youth. And I admit it, and I'm going to say it publicly. Shame on me in advance, right? My preference throughout my career has been to work with adults and not youth until I met Miss Bernie and started doing some work with her kids, as well as doing some work with the youth at the Jacksonville Urban League. But I say that to say that you don't have to have children, which I don't. You don't have to have children to not be able to share and mentor them. And so anybody who's listening and thinking that, and I especially retirees, you have time on your hands, offer your assistance to any of these organizations because there is work that you can do. They could use your help in some capacity, even if it's not directly involved with the youth. It might be some behind the scenes work that you can be involved in. So just wanted to give that plug for you. And we are nearing the end of the show and offer our guests to say any of their final thoughts. So while Eric is verifying his website, I'm going to go ahead and let Dee, if you would go first. Any final thoughts about tonight's discussion or anything else you'd like to add?
Oh, I just want to thank Dr. Kane and you as well, Jocelyn, for inviting me to be a part of this dynamic discussion. It's all about our youth, as it's been said many times already during this session. Our youth are our future, and we definitely need to pour into them so that we can give them that solid foundation so that they can continue the journey with leading this nation.
Thank you. Thank you. And I should plug, I work with the adults, so it will make your jobs easier. I had to say that, by the way. Miss Bernie, what are
I
your
want
final thoughts?
I want to thank both Dr. Kane and you, Jocelyn, for allowing me to be a part of this platform. I've watched the work that Ms. Wilcox has done. I've been knowing Mr. Wesley forever, as his son was in my daycare years and years ago, and it just makes me feel so good to know that he is achieving and doing well. But I think what I want to say is there has to be more opportunities like this to talk about what is happening for children so that parents and other people can get their kids plugged in. Because when a child is unplugged, then we're going to have problems on our hands. But when we can get a child plugged in, I think that we'll be able to make a total difference in what we see for the future of children. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And I would like to also thank everyone for the invitation. I have truly been blessed tonight to uh, meet another great woman. I've already known Miss Brady Burney, of course, but Miss Wilcox and what your foundation is doing is great. And I just want to say, if there's anything, any way that we can partner up and do something together, I'm always open. Ms. Burney said it best. It's so important that we realize that it's not about us or one organization. It's about all of us coming together to try to help our youth. If we can do that, then I think we can do something in our community. Someone asked, how can you change the world? We can change the world by changing ourselves, because we're part of the world. So by touching youth in our community and trying to get them to do the right things, I think we can help with the crime rate in our city. And I think we can do a lot of great things. So again, it has been a pleasure. I am truly honored to be on the show tonight. And again, thank you all for allowing me to be here. Thank you so much.
And we still want to plug your website.
Yes, ma'am. I'm getting that right now. I'm
Okay.
waiting on.
Well, we'll get it. We'll make sure that we add it to our social media and our website. So thank you all for participating tonight, giving of your time, your service. And I know all of you had another career, and you didn't just go and sit down somewhere and not be engaged in our community. You saw purpose, and you're keeping that going by imparting your knowledge and wisdom and skills in the next generation. So you definitely are to be applauded. Dr. Kane, do you have any final thoughts for us?
Let me see where I start. I really thank guests for being here. I'm happy that they were able to honor us with their presence and their knowledge as to what's going on with our youth in our community. I would like to um, make sure that people understand that the work that these ladies and gentlemen are doing is not an easy task. It is a hard task, and they have dedicated themselves to the youth in our community and our community. Period. Because if you're helping our youth in our community, you're helping our community. So, as far as I'm concerned, future and present. Um, yeah, I know it's difficult for people to participate in things like after their usual work day, in terms of participating in organizations like I'm a Star and Annie B. Ruth and the West, and I'm still trying to make sure we get it right, but the
Forest
Forest
View
View
Athletic
Athletic
Association.
Association. And participating in those, because I got so many things that I have on my plate and I want to participate in them all. I just can't. But I am encouraging other people to step in, step up, help these youth, help the people that are trying to help the youth, to move up the the ladder, the ability for those youth to step out and become prominent leaders in our community. And I do everything in my power, given what I'm able to do. And the one person that I am, I wish I was in the terms of the old multiplicity statue. I wish I could multiply myself, and because I want to help everywhere. All these sound so great, but I just can't. So I'm hoping that other people will step up to the plate and do and participate in these organizations, because they're such great organizations. Can't say enough about them. And I want to thank you all for participating this evening, as well as what you do every day in the community.
Thank you, Dr. Kane. And also for those of our listeners who do want to, and I'm going to use these words, sow some seeds in any of these organizations, as you're nearing the end and thinking about the taxes you have to pay for 2021. I'm sure any of these organizations would be happy to accept your donations as you're scurrying, trying to give up some of the wealth that you've gained in 2021. So
501c3.
so just
Yes.
keep that in mind. So thank you each for your work. Thank you, and the people who also work with you, your volunteers who work with you to do the things that you're doing. It's the holiday season. We would like to encourage everyone to not assume that this is a happy season for everyone.
Mhm.
Please reach out to those persons who may have lost loved ones during this time of year, be it to COVID or any other unfortunate situation, or just because that person transitioned. Again, let's not assume that this is a good season for everyone, but reach out to people and know that next week, Dr. Kane and I, along with our technology expert, Tyrone Jackson, will be here for the next episode of Pause for the Truth. And please visit our website at pauseforthetruth.com, as you can see any of or listen to or watch any of our previous shows, because we truly have had some great discussions. Happy holidays to all of you. Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa. Stay well, stay safe, get vaccinated if you're not vaccinated. Use your mask, socially distance. The Omicron variant is more transmissible than previous variants. So keep that in mind.
And I will say this, and actually, my parting way, I did again recognize Tyrone and call Tyrone.net. Call Tyrone. He's our technological expert. I want to make sure he's recognized, but I also wanted to make sure, being the physician that I am, Omicron is not playing. We thought the other variants were ugly, but this Omicron variant is very transmissible. Be careful. Do everything that Ms. Turner mentioned earlier, wearing your mask. Get vaccinated if you haven't been vaccinated. If you have been vaccinated, get your booster. If you haven't got your booster, please think of others, think of your family, and make sure you protect them as best you can. With that, I'm going to say good night. Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, you name it, happy holidays, and we will see you guys next week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.